It was the 1950s. India had only recently gained independence from British rule. Indians across the country were coming to grips with the new reality of not being under foreign rule anymore. Not only was the nation of India at a crossroads, even the historiography or history writing of the nation was at a crossroads. In such a scenario, a young Indian archaeologist hit upon an interesting idea. He realized that the Mahabharata, the ancient Indian epic comprising 1 lakh shlokas, speaks of a number of places, and several of them appear to have preserved their original or ancient names: Hastinapura, Ahitchatra, Kampila, Mathura, Kaushambi, Kurukshetra, etc. The young man decided to conduct archaeological excavations at these sites. This young archaeologist was none other than Professor B.B. Lal, the doyen of Indian archaeology, who is known for his excavations at Hastinapura, Ayodhya, and several other sites across India. B.B. Lal's discoveries would change Indian history writing forever. So, what buried secrets of Indian history did Professor B.B. Lal unearth? Let's take a look. We know that as the Sindhu-Saraswati civilization declined after the drying up of the Saraswati river around 1800 BC, several of the urban sites were abandoned. The urban nature of the Sindhu-Saraswati civilization declined to a more rural nature, but retained much of the material and cultural aspects of the earlier civilization. People moved to other parts of the Indian subcontinent. The eastward movement to the Gangetic Plains would eventually result in the birth of classical Indian civilization as we know it today. The Gangetic Plains were long inhabited by people even as far back as the period of the Sindhu-Saraswati civilization. The oldest evidence obtained from the village of Jhusi near the Ganga-Yamuna confluence shows that Indians grew domesticated rice way back in 7477 BC. Paleobotanical evidence shows that almost all crops grown today in the Gangetic Plains, such as jowar, til or sesame, linseed, green pea, mustard, etc., were being cultivated even as far back as 2000 to 800 BC. So what happened once people moved from the Sindhu-Saraswati sites to the Ganga Valley? This is where B.B. Lal's discoveries come into play. Between 1950 and 1952, Lal worked on the archaeology of sites mentioned in the Mahabharata, including Hastinapur, the capital city of the Kurus. Upon detailed excavation of Hastinapur, the capital of the Kauravas, he found a new kind of pottery at the city's lowest levels. He called it painted grey ware or PGW and found that it dated back to circa 1200 BC. But Hastinapur was not the only place which yielded PGW materials. In the Mahabharata, Ahitchatra was the capital of the northern Panchalas. Situated in UP's Bareilly district today, it was first explored by Alexander Cunningham in the 1860s, and he records fortifications, temples, stupas, monasteries, etc. When archaeologists excavated Ahitchatra in the 1950s, they discovered PGW from Ahitchatra as well, which dated to a period from 1200 to 600 BC. In fact, the PGW settlement's area at Ahitchatra was found to be 40 hectares, which hints at the urban nature of the settlement. B.B. Lal also made discoveries of many painted grey ware sites in the Indo-Gangetic Plains and Upper Yamuna Ganga Doab. 1200 BC conventionally marks the beginning of the Iron Age in India, when the use of iron becomes very widespread. However, recent discoveries show that iron had been in use in the Ganga Valley for years before this date. While copper and bronze, although used, were a fairly rare material in the Sindhu-Saraswati civilization, iron ore is plentifully available in the Vindhyas and Himalayan foothills. A 2015 paper by Rakesh Tiwari, who retired as Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India, shows that over 250 rural settlements existed in the central Ganga plains in the 2nd millennium BC. Excavations in Uttar Pradesh have turned up iron artifacts, furnaces, tuyeres, and slag in layers radiocarbon dated between 1800 and 1000 BC. This again puts a dent in the theory that iron was brought to India by so-called Aryan migrants in 1500 BC. Further excavations by archaeologists have shown more light on the history of Iron Age India. Jagatpati Joshi, the archaeologist who discovered the sites of Dholavira and Surkotada, discovered PGW sites in the Hakra riverbed. The Hakra is nothing but a remnant of the Vedic Saraswati river. Joshi found that at Dadheri in Punjab and Bhagwanpura in Haryana, the late Harappan and PGW materials were interlocked in the 2nd millennium BC. Alamgirpur, a site located along the Yamuna, was excavated in 2008 by R.N. Singh and others. Here too, archaeologists discovered an overlap between late Harappan and PGW materials. Both copper and iron artifacts were recovered. All of this tells us of a significant continuity between the Sindhu-Saraswati civilization and the PGW sites. Another discovery that tells us more about Iron Age India was that of another kind of pottery in North India, called the Northern Black Polished Ware or NBPW. Although conventionally dated to 700 to 300 BC and said to coincide with the rise of the earliest Mahajanapadas in the Indo-Gangetic plains, NBPW dating back to 1300 BC has been found at Rajgir, Ayodhya, etc. This is how the discoveries made by Professor B.B. Lal spiraled into a whole new set of discoveries, changing how Indian history is looked at. But this is just archaeology. What changes happened in India during the Iron Age? So, Iron Age India was characterized by widespread use of iron technology, emergence of organized states, warfare and political integration, expansion of trade networks, introduction of currency, and many others. A good topic for another video perhaps.